Well, hello, everybody. It's Barb Katie again. It's another Monday morning, and I'm so glad to be here with you today. Weather has really skyrocketed here in my area of West Virginia. We're up in the 80s today, which is amazing. And one thing that I know about the weather this time of the year is it's subject to change without notice. So I'm going to definitely be enjoying this beautiful day as long as it lasts. If you may have looked back to last week's message, you may have noticed that I talked with you a little bit about how our body communicates as a total package, and why sometimes choosing different methods of communications gets the message a little bit garbled. Communicating through email or writing a note um, is just the written word from me to you, from you to me. And it doesn't bring into play all the nuances that we express to each other on a regular basis with the different other methods of communications that we rely on to clearly understand each other as a general rule. And as you may remember from last week, uh, over 50% of our communication skills with each other rely on nonverbal cues if you will, body language. And I thought it might be fun if we explored that because it sometimes helps us understand uh, even in our own group here on Facebook, why sometimes people are not clearly understood, because all we have as a general rule to lead us in what people are thinking, feeling, and saying is the written word. We don't often get a chance to go into the other forms of communications that we normally rely on. And you may remember, if you watched the video last week, that I asked you, just for tickles and grins, to do a short video of yourself, maybe on your cell phone, where you're just talking and about whatever you want. You could have called a friend and done it. You could have just taped yourself having conversation while you were sitting with people or by yourself, uh, reading something, whatever. And I hope you did that and had a chance to look at it. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, is how to effectively communicate to each other exactly what we are meaning. Uh, intent is sometimes really hard to get clear. And we need to use every skill we have when we're supporting each other to make it just as positive and helpful as we possibly can. And every single week, I see us struggle a little bit in the way we communicate and how we very patiently clarify what we really meant because of the limitations imposed on just using the written word. And we do a great job in this group, and I'm very proud of you for always being considerate and aware. And hopefully, this will heighten our level of communication a little bit as we go through the exercise. Generally speaking, there are basically 7 universal facial gestures that almost everyone, regardless of where they're from, what their culture is, what their language is, recognize. And these gestures are expressed in our face. It shows, I can tell what you're thinking by the look on your face. Have you ever heard that? But that emotion will show on your face. And these are anger, contempt, disgust, fear, sadness, surprise, and the best one of all is joy and happiness. But these are usually clearly experienced. Often, I think we can tell right away if someone is happy or sad. Perhaps they frown or smile. Those are pretty clear, right? Very exaggerated, clown-like in fact, but still very clear. And there's certain things you can notice in the facial expression that helps you convey how you're feeling. Uh, Examine the emotional cues in somebody's face when they're talking to you. You do it without even actually saying to yourself, well, I think I'll look at their face and see how all their features are arranging themselves so I'll know what they're saying. No, you see the totality and you respond to the totality. And there are small changes in expression that we communicate sometimes without even realizing we're doing it. Have you ever heard the expression, the eyes are the windows into somebody's soul? In some ways, I think that's true. Eyes often reveal someone's true emotions and their level of interest. So let's think about it for a little bit and think about what your eyes can really tell somebody. Do you notice when somebody is holding your gaze, has your attention, you're focusing eye to eye, or looking away? Like, they don't want to really engage with you, so they're looking everywhere else but at you. Maybe somebody is blinking a lot or a little, and there's not a high pollen count or anything in the room like a dog or a cat that they might be allergic to, or flowers. So let's think about it. A lot of blinking may indicate that the person is distressed and uncomfortable. When you engage with another person and you have to talk about something, that's not the most pleasant thing in the world. Without even knowing it, your eyes may be blinking more than they normally would. Eye contact, looking for a long time, staring at somebody, as that person is speaking can suggest that you are really paying close attention to what they have to say. On the other hand, breaking eye contact can indicate that you're distracted or trying to conceal something when the other person is having conversation with you. And then there's the length of time you make eye contact. How long are you comfortable looking somebody else in the eye? Here, I think it's a convention for many people to not go more than a few seconds without blinking or just quickly redirecting their eyes, because are you rude? Are you staring at me? Do I have spinach on my teeth? Is there something you're not telling me? So even simple eye contact tells the other person with whom you're having conversation something about the total nature of the interaction you're having. One that I really used a lot when my sons were young was eye dilation. And this was a trick that my mom told me many, many years ago. I don't know if many of you are aware, but your emotions, the release of hormones like oxytocin and dopamine can be triggered by emotions, and they impact your pupils of your eyes, and they can cause the size of the pupil to vary. Well, I grew up in a family that had a lot of blue-eyed and light-eyed children. Some of us had green, some of us had light hazel, a few of us had brown, but a lot of us had blue eyes. And it was really funny when my two youngest sons were little. and they would be outside, and they would get into a little bit of trouble, and they would come inside and they would begin to tell me the story of what really happened outside. And they were making eye contact. Yeah, they were blinking a little bit. Uh, but those pupils in those blue eyes were getting bigger and bigger and blacker, if they were not telling mom the whole truth. And I used to just smile and I'd say, well, thank you for sharing what you think happened. I think I'll go check with some other people too. And then they just be like, oh, no, mom, you don't need to check on anybody else. You know, but I did find that their eyes, the size of the pupils even gave them away. And I use that very often, even through their teens. I did not disclose this mother secret until they were grown young men. And they said, oh, I wish I had known that then. I would have looked you straight in the eye. I said, well, that would have told me you were lying right there if you didn't want to look me in the eye. So everything about our face, if the other person has the opportunity to see your face, is going to be interpreted as a type of communication as you're going through. And that's really important. And sometimes you don't think you're being understood very clearly. It may be because you're sending mixed signals with your body language, with your facial expressions, your mouth. Have you ever paid attention to somebody's mouth? Smiles are one of the greatest ways to communicate feelings, and frowns as well. A smirk, a partial smile, can indicate things like doubt, disdain, uncertainty. And some people, I think, are a little bit good at a little bit skilled at trying to fake a smile. But if you look closely at all of the facial expressions, it's usually realized if it's a genuine smile or not. My dad used to use the expression, you smile from your heart. And I think that gets reflected in your whole person. If you are truly happy about whatever it is and are smiling, it's a genuine smile, and you can definitely tell it from fake smiles. But here are some things that you can sort of think about, because some of them are just habits we develop, but they can be interpreted incorrectly by somebody else. Are you one of those people that when you're not talking, tends to draw your lips together like you get the idea. And those signals can be interpreted as disapproval, distrust, doubt, even anger. Parted lips, on the other hand, tend to indicate that a person feels relaxed or at ease in the situation. I don't mean that you got your mouth hanging open. I just mean your lips are slightly parted as you're listening to the other person, and you are at ease in the situation. Lip biting can indicate stress and nervousness. And I remember seeing my boys do that on, when, again, they had gotten into trouble on something and they were trying to talk their way out of it. That type of behavior was a tell. Their words weren't matching necessarily what their facial gestures were conveying. And so it led me to doubt the veracity of whatever their version of the situation was. Usually it means the person is at least uncomfortable in the situation. It's not they would rather not be having to do whatever it is. Another thing that people sometimes tend to do is cover up their mouth when they're talking. Are you one of these that intentionally cover up your mouth? Sort of like a face mask, when you don't want people to really see how you're feeling, or maybe they're ill at ease or lack confidence, and so they'll cover up their mouth. During COVID, that was one of the things I struggled with, was the fact we all wore masks. And so that whole aspect of clear communication to me was no longer available, because we all wore coverings that hid that part of our expression. And that has to do with cheeks and your lips, everything, not just physically covering your mouth from time to time during a conversation. And then, of course, the direction in which your lips are pointed. Are the lips up? Are the lips down? If they're turned slightly upward most of the time, it usually indicates the person is just, he's feeling pretty optimistic, feeling upbeat. In contrast, if the mouth is tends to be sloping downward, it may indicate that the person is in reflection, when they aren't communicating necessarily, a little bit down or a little bit sad. And those tell messages. If you just look around the room sometime at meeting, you can see different people that may not be saying a word, but they have all these nonverbal communications going on that may tell you how their day was before they entered the room, or what's going on generally, that they may not even want to discuss. Our bodies are great communicators. My friend Gina Brisky has a wonderful saying that I just absolutely love, and it is to do with the direction in which your lips are pointed. And the saying is, "My day proceeds as my mouth is turned." I'm smiling. I am going to have a happy day. I am not going to allow this day to ruin my experience of this precious present that I have been given. And then you can go down to a person's legs and their feet, even to things like, are they shifting their feet back and forth, crossing their one ways, crossing their feet another way? That indicates, a general discomfort of some kind going on. Maybe not great discomfort, but still yet a discomfort of some kind. Are they shifting from foot to foot when they're standing? Sometimes the direction your feet are pointed toward you or away from you tell you something. It's possible that someone's feet pointing away from you indicate whether someone wants to engage in a conversation, or whether that person really wants to get away from you and not talk to you right now. In fact, if you look in the meeting, you'll often find a lot of people's feet pointed to one person because they want to engage that person in conversation, and are wanting to listen to them and stuff. And very often you'll see that's the weight recorder or the leader, that they're unconsciously communicating that they want to engage in conversation with this person. Crossing our ankles or our legs suggests sometimes that you're sort of drawing up within yourself, and you're a little bit uncomfortable, maybe a little bit defensive sometimes. Bouncing your legs and feet. Have you ever seen that person that keeps kicking that foot or that leg back and forth that's crossed? Maybe they're feeling a little bit nervous or impatient. Same thing goes with if you shook your leg or tapped your foot against the floor. Repetitive movements like this indicate sometimes that we're feeling a little bit anxious or restless. Like, isn't this meeting going to get over? Well, they may not actually say it, but they may be tapping their foot a little bit impatiently, and they may be glancing up the clock. All kinds of signals going on with each other when we are nonverbally communicating. How about if you stagger your feet? You notice that one person's foot is about a step ahead of the other. and maybe it's closer to you, that might be a sign that they really are interested in developing more communication with you, or just want to be closer to you because they want to be able to hear what you have to say or suggest. If their feet are pointing, staggered away from you, or they don't have a foot in your direction, then you may not have engaged their interest at that moment in time. And then it comes to hand gestures. And have you ever watched anyone speak effectively in public, and how important it is that they be able to use their hands to emphasize a point they're trying to make? As you see this a lot when people are expressing emotions, when they're trying to emphasize a point that they're wanting to make, or even when they're telling a story that they want you to really be engaged in and get the message from. Generally, the more exaggerated somebody's hand gestures is, the more likely it is that that person is expressing a strong emotion. I think we've all seen that person that is really on a roll and really got something that they believe in strongly, that they want you to pay attention to. And they're going to use hand gestures to convey to you just how important this message is. And I find I listen better when I see that, when I get these nonverbal cues from fellow members, from people with whom I'm interacting just in general. Outstretched hands, when your palms are facing out towards somebody else, indicates that you don't have anything to hide, that you're an open book, just come on and look. Clenched fists may suggest somebody is really angry or unhappy right now, even if not expressing it in their facial gestures. This is another way of saying, listen here, I'm serious when I say this. And then suggesting that somebody needs to be thinking about something very carefully. What do you do in that case? Well, I think if you just look for a minute, and here I am, I'm thinking about it, and I tend to touch my cheek, like, I need to give this some thought and consideration. And sometimes our hands and fingers are engaged in a mindless action if we really are beginning to turn the other person off, like if they've talked too much, or they've made their point and they're not moving on. And so you just begin to fiddle a little bit around, and sort of maybe your gaze drops a little bit, and you're, again, nonverbal skills to say, wrap this message up. You've talked long enough now, Barbara. It's time to move on to the next topic. Thank you very much for your time, but that's enough for today. Heaven knows the worst possible thing, I guess, is when people start cracking their knuckles or cleaning their fingernails. It's just like, oh, I need to wrap this thing up in a hurry. I think I've lost my audience. Nobody's listening anymore. I hope that you took the video and you'll look at the video and examine yourself as an effective communicator, and how you can use your body language when you're wanting to support somebody and let them know you genuinely care about them, or if they're relating a story to you, that you are listening as attentively as you know how to listen, so they will feel valued by you during this period of time. It's so very important for people to feel that they're being heard by someone that really cares about them. So, no masks. at least as best we can possibly take them off. And genuine expressions of care and concern is what my message is here today. Thank you for doing that in every possible way. Thank you for caring about me and my journey. And I will do my very best always to make sure you know how much I care about you and yours. And together, we're going to get through this one day at a time, a little bit better every single day, with happiness and joy. And I will talk to you later. You have a really, really great day and a good week ahead. Bye for now.